All right, so we're starting the stream, and this is the first time I actually feel like there's a decent transition going where I can just get right into it because I finally learned how to work events. I'm glad we had that audio mistake last time. And actually, I did do a sound check this time, and I figured something around about the way my computer, like when I started up or something, it's like creating a separate audio input or something. Like, for some reason, it doesn't. It's counting like my microphone and headset. And this is the one thing I hate about cities. There has literally been more than one train a minute here in downtown Chicago. This might be the worst time to be recording, but I'm busy this evening, so I had to do it right now. But it's just like, that's the other thing. Just like, quick update. I don't think I really said why I'm making so many shows right now, and I figured like a good update into my life is a little important. I live in downtown Chicago. I have an apartment that's a little too expensive for my current income, which is pretty much zero right now. I just have always really wanted to do this like podcast vlog idea, and I left up all my other shitty videos, honestly, where I was a lot less confident in just doing this. I used to be a lot more nervous. You can see I was much more nervous. It really wasn't until I started having friends of mine and some other people just tell me like, hey, you're doing a good job. And it's literally all it takes. And so, yeah, I just really want to see if I could ever like be able to make an income off this to the point where I can literally just dedicate my life. But not only that, it's like this past week or so, today's Thursday. So it'll be a week yesterday that I've been doing a show a day at least. And just making the rest of my like life revolve around doing these at least, well, not at least 1 hour, but roughly an hour shows. So it's kind of like a test drive to see if one, I could do this, two, if I'd want to. But the thing is, I'm loving this. Like, this would be great. The value added, because I mean, if I were someone listening to me right now, I'd be like, all right, so this kid's asking for money. What the hell would he want? You know, why the hell would I want to give my money? And that's a fair assumption. The thing is, what I'm doing is kind of a clone off of what Owen Benjamin does. And I didn't even hear of him when I had the dream of like making a podcast. It wasn't quite that at first. I wanted to be a video game live streamer. And then it kind of evolved into a few other things. And then I watched Joe Rogan where he interviews people. So like I want to do a hybrid of the two where I'm having guests on the show, but sometimes I'm just ranting about certain things. So what I want to do is like engage people in the chat of the YouTube, which I don't have up. I don't know if I have anyone watching. I keep forgetting to pull up the live chat. But essentially what I want to do is create a dialogue between me and the people watching, and also whoever the hell is on the show, and just have us all learn from each other. And I'm just kind of like the lighthouse in the middle, mediating conversation, because I think that's a very interesting thing. I think I'm a pretty smart guy. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I was kind of nerdy growing up. I was a real bookworm. But in the second half of my life, I have gotten a lot more social. And just comparatively to a lot of people at 26, I think I got a pretty solid balance, if I could toot my own horn, of like logical, rational knowledge and wisdom, but also the capability to that like intuitive cunning on the fly. So I kind of want to wrap that together. And like I've listened to a lot of radio shows and through the years, and I've kind of like evolved from that. Anthony Cumia is one guy that I drew a lot of influence from. But I just kind of wanted to address where I'm at with this channel and why I want to do this. I want to teach some people and learn from others, and just kind of mediate people learning from one another. And then the goal is eventually people be like, hey, I want to learn more about this, or you know what, stay away from that. I really don't want to talk about that. And just guide it, because I don't want it to be like my show where I'm some like dictator, like this is what we're going to talk about. This is what I want to talk about. I really want it to be more of a dialogue. So I think I've beat that point home. And the point of the show is Trump, the government shutdown, the border wall. And I pulled up a few news articles here that I want to go over. because I start off my mornings. I listen to other YouTubers, either from the night before, or there's actually a lot of YouTubers that make their content in the morning right away. So I listen to them and I get daily news. Actually, before this broadcast, I just listened to it was almost 3 hours Owen Benjamin did. It was really good. He wrapped up the ending. He was reciting the I think it was the I Have a Dream speech, the full length I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King, and showing that there was a good bit of deception in some of the words he was saying, the wizardry he talks about. And I don't know, I didn't really buy into it that much, but it was pretty interesting. So first article I pulled up was Pelosi's on the right track with the State of the Union plan. Oh yeah, this really rubbed me the wrong way, because let me give a little rant on my take on CNN in general. When Trump says fake news, well, actually no, that was the whole point. Before I get into the articles, I wanted to kind of give my point on Trump, because I realized that, first off, some of the people watching my channel or watching these videos afterwards know me personally and might know a bit of my story, but I haven't rephrased it recently. And also, obviously, there's strangers who are just watching this channel for the first time and might not know my take on Trump. So I kind of want to take a couple minutes and just get into that. So first off, originally back in 2012, I had that was the first election I could vote in. I wrote in Ron Paul because of reading his what was it, manifesto. I don't recall the name of the book. Honestly, it's something I read back in high school. Might be worth a read again. But I was really into Ron Paul. It was just, I'd never heard of a politician talk about things so, I was going to say plainly, but to me it's just with kind of conviction, with truth in his voice, to the point where he didn't really care what people thought. And that was about all I had being a high schooler reading it. And it really got me on the path into looking into what libertarianism is and learning more about it. And that's something I'm still working on learning more about. But that was 2012. 2016 came along. I didn't like Obama at all. I thought he was a good representation of what people want an American president to look like. But I don't know. He just always rubbed me the wrong way. Anyone who's too good or looks too nice, I'm like, you probably had to do something or shake too many hands to get here. So I'm not going to say I hate Obama, but I didn't really like him. It was just that person who comes into a party and is too nice to you for no reason. That's kind of always how I looked at Obama. But Trump came along and I hated him at first. I have a younger sister. I've got a mother I respect. I've got a lot of women in my life, and a lot of the stuff that people don't like Trump for, I totally understand. He is a shitbag. He kind of is a grimy, grubby dude. But the thing I've come to learn since his election is he's the devil that's in my corner. And what I realize is we're fighting a spiritual battle over America and the West and the world too. And I'd rather have the devil in my corner, because here's the thing. Trump's motivation at the end is, I think, completely egotistical. And while some people say that's a bad thing, I see it as a good thing, because I know that at the end of the day, Trump knows he's going to die. And he wants to be written in the history books as the greatest president of all time. That alone makes me think that this guy wants to do what's best for America, because he wants to be remembered properly. So that alone is my vote of confidence for him. But not only that, to see the reaction people on the left are giving of him is only strengthening my resolve. So I'm going to leave that there. Back in 2016, I was all about Bernie, because the Clintons, I could dedicate a whole thing to the Clintons, and having Hillary Clinton be one of the candidates, I actually liked Bernie's character. I didn't really know enough about democratic socialism. It sounded good at the time. I was definitely duped. I'll just kind of leave it there. I was a Bernie bro for a minute, and they did him dirty. That's the thing, is it's we can't even learn what the Bernie what was it even called? The Bernie Revolution really would have been, because Democrats were nope, we're not having any of that. That's not happening at all. And that woke me up. I was like, whew, something happening in politics is creepy. So that being said, that's my take on Trump. Let's get into this news article and my little rant on CNN that I bookmarked. So Pelosi's on the right track. That alone, they are telling you how to think. Nancy Pelosi is right. I like to break things down into their base level. they're saying this is how you should think on the State of the Union plan. That's how I would rephrase it. That scares me. I don't like news that tells me how to think. That's why I go to Twitter, I find independent news sources, and I like people who tell me facts. I'm not going to get into what that sounds like. Maybe I'll do that another time. But this is blatantly someone telling you how to feel. Not and conversely, if they tell you how to feel, generally it'll lead you how you will think, even if you're a logical person who just only happens to read the headline, the tagline of this article. So I just want to get into the first couple paragraphs because it's kind of scary what they mean. No, that's the other one. Never mind. Because Trump has a State of Union. This is from this morning. I'm getting my articles mixed up. This is a State of the Union address. So Trump is supposed to have a State of the Union address, but there's a government shutdown. And so in the latest move in the government shutdown, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi now looking to dim one of the brightest spotlights for President Donald Trump, the annual State of the Union address. Pelosi sent a letter to the president suggesting that he wait until the government is open before coming to Congress or simply deliver the address in writing. That is hilarious. Pelosi and the Democrats hold all the cards here. Oh my God, CNN is saying it out loud because all I ever see by leftists and people on social media, on Twitter, is how, oh no, this is Trump's fault. This is Trump's administration. This is the Republicans' fault that the government shut down. It's like, no, Trump is the person who says, I'm willing to have a shutdown, but I want you to come to the table. So even CNN is admitting that the Democrats are the ones that hold all the cards here. And the thing is, Pelosi's on the right track. They're saying that her sending a letter to Trump saying he shouldn't give an address, they're literally trying to censor him because they understand the power of his voice. Whenever Trump talks, say what you want. He says exactly how he's feeling. He speaks the truth. And when I say the truth, I don't mean what is actually true or what is correct. I think he says just what's on his mind. And that's one topic I don't think anyone's really gotten into. It's like there's a difference between Trump telling the truth and Trump saying how he feels. And that is what he normally does. He normally does say, he speaks pretty candidly to how he feels about something. And that's one thing I've never seen out of a politician in my entire lifetime. The first president I ever remember was Bill Clinton. And to me, presidents have always been people who just have talking points and read from a teleprompter. So to have a president who, right or wrong, says exactly how he feels or how he thinks, whether it's incorrect in the moment or not, it's kind of refreshing. And I think that's what Pelosi doesn't want. It's such a rogue element to have Trump saying how he feels that it's not. She's like, don't do it, because she knows that he's going to talk about the shutdown. She knows he's going to say this line right here, that it's their fault. So this is literally CNN trying to spin to their left-leaning audience saying, look, she's right, Trump shouldn't talk. And I'm not going to get into it any further, but that alone was just like, how do you, like, I guarantee there's people who see this same article and don't take it the same way I do. And so in this podcast, I want to get into Trump, the shutdown, and the border wall. So the next article I have is from the Washington Examiner, and this is from just a few days ago, 4 days ago. I try to keep all this fairly recent because the news cycle, public opinion, and policy are all three of them moving very quickly right now. You pretty much can't quote anything from more than 2 weeks ago. Everything shifts in 2 weeks. If you're not paying attention, you're going to miss everything. That's why I'm paying so much attention right now. So it says support for Trump's wall reaches all-time high. From the way a lot of people talk on social media, you wouldn't think so. Support for President Trump's wall along the U.S.-Mexico border is at an all-time high weeks into a partial government shutdown that began over a border security dispute for funding. According to the results of an ABC News and Washington Post poll released Sunday morning, 42% of Americans support the wall. That's up from 34% 1 year ago and the previous high of 37% in 2016. So, Americans agree right now we want the wall. And I wanted to quickly put my point out on the wall. Is initially, I actually watched an Adam Ruins Everything about the wall, and I was totally like, haha, yeah, okay, the wall, you can just fly over it, you can take a boat, whatever. I did some digging, and actually I don't have any of those articles up, but apparently there is a lot of drug trafficking, and human trafficking was the real thing that kind of spoke to my soul. Is human trafficking is awful, and there's a lot of people who have said that human trafficking is one of the number one immigration concerns that isn't being brought up. I think the left normally talks about legal immigration and stuff like that. It's like, that's not the issue. There's people that are being human trafficked, as in like slaves. That are being forced across the border, or, you know, I don't know the details. If someone knows more, hop in here. I'd love to hear about it, because this is I'm more just provoking conversation than telling you how to think. That is one thing to keep very clear when I'm doing this show. I say how I think, and I do want it to be provocative. I do want you to think about it, and I do want you to comment and tell me how wrong I am, so that we can get into the bigger details. So I'm kind of glossing over things quickly and provocatively. That being said, Trump's trying to get apparently $5.6 billion, which sounds like a lot of money, but considering the amount of money we get taxed and how much they have available in the budget, it's really a drop in the bucket. I mean, I hear a lot of people also say, well, it could go towards other things. Yeah, it could. That is not a strong argument to me either. I see a problem, and if we have a cost-effective way of fixing it, we should fix it. Final point, and the most important point the whole way, is Trump got elected for saying he was going to build a wall. I didn't support a wall in the first place. That's why I was talking about the Adams ruins everything. And I was actually very against the wall 2 years ago. Very, very, very against the wall. But I also believe in character and ethics and standing by your word, honesty. And regardless of how you feel about the wall, Trump got elected by saying he was going to build a wall. Therefore, build the goddamn wall and stand by your word. Because if there's no wall by the time Trump is done with his presidency, it's going to look very bad on him. And with all the good he's done, pulling troops out, his work he's done with Korea, which is completely ignored. There's a lot of good things. Honestly, I can't think of them all off the top of my head. I kind of want to move along to the next point. But he needs to have that wall built for his legacy. And I think, like I said, that's the most important thing to Trump. All right. So, and this goes into calling the question of some of these Democrats that are calling him out and who are opposing so much to his current wall proposal and issue. Mick Mulvaney had said they voted for the border wall in 2006. Then Senator Obama, Schumer, and Clinton. And it is half true. The context was a little off because Mulvaney made it seem like... okay, let me read this again real quick. White House Budget Director Mick Mulvaney said he doesn't understand Democrats' opposition to funding the border wall because top Democrats voted for it just over 10 years ago. During an April 23rd segment on Fox News Sunday, Mulvaney talked down concerns about a government shutdown, but scolded Democrats for obstructing action on Trump's border wall. Mulvaney pointed to the voting record of top Democrats in 2006. We want our priorities funded, and one of the biggest priorities during the campaign was border security, keeping Americans safe, and part of that was a border wall, he said. We still don't understand why Democrats are so wholeheartedly against it. They voted for it in 2006. Then Senator Obama voted for it, Senator Schumer voted for it, Senator Clinton voted for it. So we don't understand why Democrats are now playing politics just because Donald Trump is in office. Mulvaney is referring to their votes on an act that authorized a fence, but as we've noted several times in the past, the 2006 fence was less ambitious than the wall Trump is proposing. And that was the Secure Fence Act of 2006, which I'm not going to get into detail about. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here and just go to the ruling by this is PolitiFact? Yeah, PolitiFact, which is a decent site. They do okay. I think they're a little left-leaning, but it's actually pretty okay. Mulvaney said that Obama, Schumer, Clinton voted for a border wall in 2006. They did vote for the Secure Fence Act in 2006, which authorized building a fence along about 700 miles of the border between the United States and Mexico. Still, the fence they voted for is not as substantial as the wall Trump is proposing. So, to me, it's like, that's the thing is, PolitiFact put a spin on it that it's like not entirely true. To me, ethically, it's true. They voted in favor of making it harder to cross the border. But now these same people are trying to say that, well, Trump's going too far. It's like, you already wanted a fence. He wants a wall. So the way I look at it is they're like, well, we wanted to like sprinkle we want to put some sprinkles on it. Trump's like, no. We're fucking going to do this thing right. We're going to do it the right way one time. Like, no, he's so bad. He's the bad man. So they're just undermining him. To me, this really just puts their consistency, their ethics into question, because they voted for it back in 2006. And now in 2019, they're going against it. And although it was less ambitious, to me, it's still the same policy. And the things that are being touted is that Trump is a racist, that he's anti-immigration, blah, 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 blah. And the thing is, precisely what they're heralding him for, they supported. So that's another point we can get into. I'm going to leave it there, though. And then I got a Fox News. I don't know why I picked Fox News. It's just whatever. Trump's border wall, how much will it actually cost according to a statistician? Because the 5.6 number, yeah, from here it says from like 8 billion to 70 billion. How old is this article? I did not. This is from December 11th, so that's about a month ago. Yeah, apparently there's been a lot. There's been different things to put into question. 8.7 billion in concrete, 3.6 billion in steel. But apparently that 8.7 billion in concrete has been ruled out if they do an all steel. Not only that, but it'll help the steel industry, which is something that is really good for American steel workers, which, you know, that's another point to get into. And then labor, but that labor is going to go towards providing jobs. That's one thing that people ignore, is it's like Americans are going to be the ones building it. I'm not a great economist, but a lot of this sounds pretty solid. I know there's the issue of land acquisition and private property. I'm going to just put my hands up on that one. I as a libertarian, I do see a problem with it, but also as a nationalist, I think that we need to secure our borders. Yeah. So that gets into the price. And I think that kind of wraps up that point. Yeah. So I talked about Trump. I talked about how I feel about him. Talked a little about... that was what I want to get into. I kind of wrapped up on the border wall. But I want to talk more about the shutdown itself. And I think that is the last one I have here. Okay. So let's talk about, if they don't want a wall, what are the Democrat border security solutions? And this is, I think, yeah... okay. So this is just kind of rambling here. I'm just going to cut to the bill that is being proposed by the Democrats instead of having a wall. So they want more than $1.3 billion for new fencing. So they still want fences to replace the secondary fencing. $366 million for border security technology. $7.7 to hire more custom agents. $224 million for non-intrusive inspection equipment at ports of entry. $7 billion on ICE. $7 billion for the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So exactly, abolish ICE. The Democrats are the ones trying to get $7 billion to go to ICE. How do you support people who talk out of both sides of their mouth all the time? I mean, you have to be an ostrich and just be putting your head in the ground. Because you can't say you hate ICE and then your solution be, well, let's give $7 million to ICE, or $7 billion to ICE. About the same amount of money Trump wants to spend on building the wall, they want to just hand to ICE, which to me, blowing up more, giving more federal having more federal bureaucracy, federal employee jobs is not my solution. Not only that, but this like little security thing, that sounds like a pork barrel to me. That rubs me in a certain way, where they're going to have some drones flying and the drones are going to veer a little off course and start looking at border property. That, to me as a libertarian, this whole thing sounds weird. They're like, well, we're just going to put some fences up and then we're going to have more staff. And then they're going to be like, well, we're going to cut costs and have less staff. And then we're going to have drones and we're going to have cameras and thermal imaging and satellite. I'm like, oh, if that starts being that's a little too big brother for me. I'd rather just have a good fucking wall and call it a day. Just do a good job, make it, good solid wall. And the big thing is just stand behind your word, Trump, because you got elected on the wall. I didn't support it, but you got to live up to your word. That's the most important thing. And then, like I said, I want to tie in the politics of the shutdown with the wall is Trump is being a man. He's saying, I need this wall, and I don't care if the government gets shut down. Democrats are like, oh, big bad Trump shutting down the government. We already went over the fact that they're the ones who are controlling the issue. Trump is just the one, he's like, I don't care if the government gets shut down. And the funny thing is, a lot of the libertarians I follow on Twitter were just like, wow, the government is shut down, and everyone's lives are still just fine. Honestly, I don't care if this government shutdown lasts into March. I think having the government shut down, because here's the thing: is a lot of the people on the left, they go in these short little outrage cycles. And the thing is, if we can make this outrage cycle, and we, by the American people who are not part of the outrage mob, if we can make this little scenario last longer than they want it to be, because that's the thing, is they're pushing this agenda of, oh, we need to solve it now. We need to solve it now. Trump is bad. People aren't getting their wages. Blah 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 blah. Or I'm sure there are some negative consequences. I'm not putting that down, but in the aggregate, anyone who's not affected by the welfare state or a federal employee is doing just fine. And the fact that people will realize the sky is literally not falling, even though the mainstream media, celebrities, Cardi B, I saw her video today. Oh, Mr. President, you need to make sure your mama can get her blood pressure checked. It's like, first off, stay in your lane and shut the hell up. I hate the fact that, like, my younger cousins and my sister can listen to you in the first place, much less potentially end up, by no fault of their own, end up looking up to you because other adults look up to you. I hate that woman with a passion, and I try to not hate, but what she represents for women is the idea of toxic femininity. Just want to throw that point out there. But that being said, is this outrage is going to die off. It's going to die off because people are going to realize they don't need the government. And I think that might be part of the secret genius of what Trump's doing. He's like, shit, I'm the president. My position doesn't do that much. If I just shut down the government, I literally just make people realize they can be, MAGA. They can make America great on their own. They don't need the government to do it. It's almost like the person who goes in the bathroom and just sits on a toilet and doesn't take a shit. He just sits there and everyone's sitting there waiting. They're like, oh, I really gotta go to the bathroom. I really gotta go to the bathroom. It's like, oh, okay. I guess I don't. The longer you wait, you're like, oh, maybe I can, or maybe I could just go next door. It's like the issue isn't as bad as you think it is. And so that's the thing. I want to wrap this thing off on a hopeful note, because a lot of the media, like the CNN, they want to make you think that there's this huge war going on. But the thing is, me being in 2016 a former Bernie bro, I was this left, a socialist, a weekend, utopian revolutionary. I was wearing it on my sleeve. I was telling everyone about it. I was getting in the face of conservatives, and quite frankly, I look back making myself look like a fool. But in the 2 years that I've come around and was lukewarm to Trump at first, now I'm proud of our president. I'm glad to have a strong male figure running our country. And the more I reach out to Trump supporters, I realize there are the jackasses and the trolls and the button pushers, but you sift through them, and there's a lot of good people, and they have great stories to tell, and they have taught me a lot about certain issues I didn't know too much about. I don't find that on the left. They're echo chambers of people saying the same talking points you read going to CNN. That's not fun to me. I prefer to talk to the person than the ideology they're just parroting all the time. Yeah. So just know, when you're talking to someone, see if you're talking to the person more than the news article, the headline they read, or the quick snippet of information. If it sounds too good to be true, it might be. I guess is kind of the final thought there. And so I'm going to wrap this stream up. That's kind of, I got through Trump, the government shutdown, and the border wall. And probably on the next episode of Bread and Games with my buddy Sean, which it sounds like we won't be doing on Sunday. I think he said Monday, maybe Tuesday. I wanted to give a little a teaser for anyone who actually watched the whole video here, for being patient and staying with me. Look up penis facial on Google. I'm sorry, I know it's a little maybe vulgar for what you're used to, but you won't be disappointed by what comes your way. So let's read a couple of these quick article headlines. The penis facial is the latest disturbing beauty treatment. March 15th, 2018. The penis facial. Is it really worth the Hollywood hype? Yes, the expensive penis facial is still a thing. Yes, is the penis facial the controversial beauty treatment? What is the penis facial that Sandra Bullock gets? Huffington Post, ET Online, New York Post. These are from March, May, November, all 2018. Yeah, I'll get into that later. If you want to learn more about the penis facial, comment on this video, reach out to my Twitter, like, subscribe, appreciate it. Like I said, still working on the intro, outro. That's more of a thing. Once I think what I might do is set like subscriber goals. Is like once I hit like a certain amount of subscribers or a certain amount of views or something, that's gonna be like my trigger for investing in getting music or doing certain fancy things. I just think it'd be a little too early for me getting all the glitz and glamour before I actually have an audience. So if you like the content, if you like the way I do it, if you got some tips, feel free to let me know what you think I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, and if you like it, share with your friends. Because that's the thing is, for me, this is an experiment. I'm not sure if this is going to work. I'm not sure if this is something I should continue doing. I'm looking for full-time work, and if and when I do get that job, I'm probably going to be doing this less. So if you'd like to see more of this content, let me know, and we'll figure out a way for me to be able to do more. So thank you for listening. This is the Michael Plowski Experiment, and I am out.